What's up, everybody? It is Thegoal60 here for week 10 of the 2018 college football season. Last night I tried to film this video, and for whatever reason the audio just really messed up, so I'm filming it on Thursday morning, early in the morning, kind of like I do during the summer with baseball, and just want to go through my 7 plays and kind of break those down and what I was thinking there and why I picked those. And also, Michael is sending me his plays, so they will be in the description below. A lot of times he goes above 7, so he likes to get a lot of plays and tease all those. And yeah, just want to go through everything and kind of tell you pick by pick of what I was thinking on my picks. So real quick before I get started, the rankings came out this week from the committee. We've had the AP and the coaches poll all season. Really, that doesn't matter whenever the committee starts putting their rankings out. This is what matters for the playoffs. This is what sets our, New Year's Day 6 bowls, all that good stuff. So it's kind of important. I'm glad that they start later in the year. It gives them a lot of opportunity to see different teams and kind of get a consistent measure. I'm sure you agree with some of them. I'm sure you disagree with most of them. It's just kind of how it goes. But overall, it's not bad. And ultimately, the only ranking that matters is after that last regular season week. All right, so my first game that I'm going to talk about is actually Duke. So Duke is traveling to Miami. They're catching 9.5 right now. And both of these teams have 5 wins, so I expect both of them to play try to control the clock, take care of business, and get that 6th win, become bowl eligible. But as far as 9.5 points, it just seems like too much to me. You look at some of the trends. Miami's 2-6 their last 8 after a straight-up loss. They're 1-6 their last 7 conference games. They're 1-4 their last 5 as a favorite, and they're 0-4 their last 4 versus a winning team. You look on the other side. Duke is 5-2 their last 7 versus a winning team, and they're also 5-1 their last 6 road games. And a big stat for you: they're 24-9-1 their last 34 as an underdog. So when I projected this out, I came up with somewhere under a touchdown, and for that reason, I'm taking Duke plus the points. Duke plus 9.5. The next 3, you're probably going to call me a square on, but I'm going with them anyways. For my projections and trends, I'm just sticking with it. All 3 are totals, and the first one is Pittsburgh and Virginia. I'm looking at 48.5 as the number. You look at Virginia, they are 15-5-1 their last 21 as a home favorite, going over. They are 4-1 their last 5 as a home favorite of 3.5 to 10 points, so right around this range. And also, Pittsburgh is 5-2 their last 7 November games. So the last couple of years, they've been playing November, going over a lot. And also, they're 16-7-2 their last 25 after an against the spread win. So all these trends pointing to the over. When I projected it, that came out to the over. So I'm going to be taking Pittsburgh and Virginia over 48.5. Now remember, with these projections I keep bringing up, I've told you guys in previous videos that all I do is I try to keep it simple, stupid. I take stats myself of Power 5 versus Power 5 games. I don't think about these little small games they play. Those don't matter. Your starters ain't in all the time. I just try to take up the big games, the conference games, the out of conference games against other Power 5 schools. I take those stats and I project off of rushing, passing, defense, rushing, and passing also. I pay attention to a few other things also, like turnovers. Your turnover margin as you go through the year starts to pick up. And this next game we'll talk about is with Rutgers and Wisconsin. Now, I'm looking at a total again here, and the total is 50.5. One thing that over the past few years, Wisconsin playing a team that they're highly favored over, especially at home, they tend to keep the pedal down. They tend to, really score if they can get any momentum going and really take care of business. And I know they lost earlier to BYU. I know they lost last week to Northwestern. Last week they were only a 7-point favorite. Last couple of years, when they have been more than a 10.5 point favorite, they've done really well to the over. And that is 5-2 their last 7 as a home favorite of 10.5 or more. Also, they're 4-1 their last 5 overall, and they're 9-1 their last 10 after and against the spread loss. So they tend to bounce back, score a lot of points, and pushing these games over after certain situations. They all line up this week. Look at the other side. Rutgers to the over is 7-3 their last 10 after only putting up less than 250 yards of total offense. So they tend to kind of bounce back with a little bit better offensive output the next week. You add that to Wisconsin traditionally, not letting up, doing their thing, trying to get back in rhythm, and bounce back after a loss. And I just think this game is going over the total of 50.5. Next game I want to talk about, like I said, it's another square bet, and that is the over in the Michigan State and Maryland game. So 3 games here that I looked at taking the over, and like I said, I know that's a square play. I'm sure some of you are kind of freaking out right now, but that's all right. That's fine. They're only square if they don't cash. They turn into rectangles when they do cash. So I love that part, and let's see if we can't cash these things. And that is with Michigan State and Maryland. Now, Maryland 2 days ago brought back their coach. Yesterday they fired him. So there's a lot of things going on there, a lot of distractions. I wouldn't touch the side on either way for nothing. I wouldn't even mess with it. Sometimes those distractions turn into motivation. Sometimes they turn into exactly that, just distractions and can't do anything. So I wouldn't touch the sides, but I feel pretty confident in the total. You look at some of the trends. Maryland is 5-1 their last 6 as a home dog. 12-4 their last 16 as a dog of any amount, anywhere, and also 10-4 their last 14 conference games. All of those going to the over. You look at Michigan State, they're 5-1 their last 6 as a road favorite. So all these things pointing towards taking and scoring a lot of points. Michigan State got a new quarterback last week. He worked out really well. Playing Purdue, they come out with a win there and put up in the 20s. I expect them to get a little more confidence and maybe even hopefully put up in the 30s. If Maryland can get anything over 10, we're looking at a pretty good chance of covering this thing. So I have it projected at in the low 50s, so almost a touchdown ahead or above the total. And for that reason, I'm taking Michigan State and Maryland over 46.5. And to finish out, these next 3 plays are all sides, so I'm getting away from the totals. And 2 of them are big underdogs, and we'll see how they fare. Staying in the Big Ten this time, and that is in the Ohio State and Nebraska game. Now, Nebraska has seemed to start getting something figured out, and they've won 2 games. I know last week was against the FCS school. I understand that. They're not going to have much competition there, but they started getting in rhythm, and hopefully they can continue that. Ohio State, they're 0-4 their last 4 conference games. They're 0-4 their last 4 as a favorite. And they're also 2-6 their last 8 versus losing teams. Nebraska, on the other hand, is 14-6 their last 20 versus a team with a home winning record. So somebody who is really good at home, their last 20 times playing them, they're 14-6 against the spread. 4-1-1 their last 6 as a road dog of any amount, and 5-2-1 their last 8 on the road, no matter if they're a dog or a favorite. For all these reasons, and where I projected it was quite a bit lower, it was closer to 10. I believe it was around 11, and for that reason, I'm taking Nebraska plus the points, plus 18.5. I think that's a really good spot, and like Michael likes to tease it. If you like to tease these, which I do, I take my games and pretty much tease them every week. But if you do, you're pushing that thing above 24 points. 24.5 just on a 6-point teaser. So it makes good sense there. You're getting a lot of points, a lot of those key numbers that are coming in if you did that. Even as high as 21 and 24. I mean, you got a lot of key numbers there. So it makes sense to tease that game if you like that. The next game I have, we're heading out to the Pac-12, and it is in the Washington and Stanford game. I think Washington right now is kind of reeling. I don't know what's going on. Senior quarterback, I've seen this before. You've seen senior quarterbacks who you expected to play really well come out and have a really good year, and they're not. And because of that, it's affecting their running game as well. I mean, Myles Gaskin is not putting up the numbers he had in the years past, but I really think that's because everybody's loading the box up. Everybody's putting more pressure on him. It's harder to break 3 tackles than it is to break 1 tackle, that sort of thing. So you look at this game, Stanford is +3 in turnovers. Washington is -3 in turnovers. And once again, those are in Power 5 games. Games that, in my opinion, matter. You look at Stanford, they've got 5 wins so far. They need another win, so they're going to come out playing a little harder. You know, it means a lot to these schools to go to a bowl game. Yes, I know some schools you don't think it means that much, but it is one of those goals that you can kind of check off when you get to that 6th win, and so it does matter some. Stanford is 4-1 their last 5 against after a straight-up loss. They're 16-5 their last 21 as an underdog, and they're 4-1 their last 5 in road games. You look at Washington, they're 1-4 their last 5 after a straight-up loss, and they're 0-5 their last conference games. So you look at all the trends, they definitely point towards Stanford. You look at the projection, I have it somewhere around 6, so about 4 points lower than what the actual spread is. And for that reason, I'm going with Stanford plus the points, +10. And my last one is going to probably shock a few of you, especially the ones who have watched my videos and been a subscriber and a fan of this channel since I started a few years ago. And the fact that I never put money on my team, ever, until today. And that is, you know, the reason I do that, and as some of you who are new to this kind of, you know, betting, wagering, sports investing, whatever you want to call it, a lot of times you may sit there and you may have an emotional attachment to a team. So you think they're going to do better than they actually do. That's why I stay away from Alabama. I don't touch them, you know. But LSU, their fan base, their players, even Coach O had a few things that could be used as motivation. Nick Saban can find motivation anywhere. He can look at a power poll and find some kind of motivation that deals with that poll, even though it's just standing there not doing a thing. And to give him anything to use is trouble. The man is a master doing that and keeping his team playing at its highest level at all times. When I projected this out, it didn't cover. It didn't come far from it, but it didn't cover. But on the other hand, I look at, you know, things that are around the game, and I know we're playing at LSU. I know it's at night. It's going to be a crazy crowd down there. It always is, especially for the night game. It seems like they never have to play during the day down there, but we'll see what happens. And I just really feel like this week that Alabama's going to come out and give everything they got. You look at some of the small things as far as, I mean, these things may not even matter, but I thought of them. And that is that LSU's played 3 top 10 teams, beat all of them. That's really good for them. It's also pretty good for Alabama because they get to see exactly what LSU is. They have 3 solid tapes of getting to see exactly what LSU is, get to see what they do in certain situations. You also, on the other hand, if you look at Alabama, we haven't seen Tua play past halfway through the 3rd. He has not taken a snap in the 4th quarter yet this season. Now, I know that seems like a humble brag, and it is. Don't worry. But it's also the fact that nobody's seen him play a full game. There's no tape out there. You know, you add all the tapes together, you may get, I'm guessing, around 4.5 games worth of film on him the entire season. So you got to take things like that in consideration. I believe, I don't know, I'm not a coach. Obviously, I'd be making a lot more money if I was, but I'm not. But with that, I'm going with Alabama. I'm taking them, laying the points on the road at night. As crazy as that may sound, I'm taking the Tide to cover this thing. That's all I've got this week. I really appreciate you guys watching this thing. Hopefully you got some decent information out of it, something that you can use to either follow or fade or pass, either one. And, you know, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Thegoal60. Give us that thumbs up this week. Had a lot of growth last week. Hopefully you have a lot of growth this week. And I appreciate that for every one of you that share these things and all that good stuff. And I will see you next time. Thanks.
60% of the time, it works every time.